and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me, as always, is Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
You know, I don't even know what's up, what's down, what the hell is going on in NASCAR. I mean, last week at Darlington, my Kevin Harvick very heavily bet card was looking fantastic as he snuck into the top 10 late in the race, only to suffer a on fire part in the brakes, and then got his car caught on fire, and then the NASCAR didn't even throw the caution until he was actually outside of the car with it in flames. Like, what the hell is going on? But luckily it didn't get too messed up with our boy Eric Jones taking home the dub.
Yeah, obviously didn't realize some of the carnage from Daytona would follow them to Darlington, but that's pretty much what happened.
Yes.
There was some goods, there was some bads. There was, of course, the week I go in on Chase Elliott is the week that he can get through like 5 laps and he's out of the race. So that felt really good. And then my guy Ross had his issues early and never really had a chance, and just it was a frustrating week. So let's recap the card. We'll obviously recap our DraftKings lineups, and most importantly, give you the names we are targeting on the betting board before we get to qualifying. And then, as always, Brian and I will be back on Saturday to get in your feed Sunday morning with our best bets post qualifying, build DraftKings lineups, and all that stuff. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the thumbs up notification, and let us know your favorite bet prior to qualifying. But Brian, let's recap the carnage that was our betting card. Lots of red here, not what you want to see. Ross, Willie B had his moments, then didn't really, and then kind of did, and Chase obviously nothing. I loved Ross Chastain this week. I biggest swing and a miss.
It looked good. He was there. He was fast, and then
Truex top 10. Nope. Eric Jones should have went heavier. Should have gone top 5. Of course, we don't go in on a win with him. You know, people had as high as 60-1 on him. That would have been very, very nice. Right. Daniel Suarez is mad at Christopher Bell, so that will be interesting as the playoffs roll along. Yes. So Suarez, and then we got some interesting numbers like late Saturday, early Sunday. So we added some of those to the card, and of course those didn't hit either. Busher, there was a 950 thanks to FanDuel to top 10, and Almirola was 850 to top 10. Glad I just added a little bit, not a lot of it at those numbers, but not the week you're looking for, especially after a week where Daytona is an absolute shit show. But gonna dial it in again this week. Cool down on the outrights and hopefully get this train back on the track. Brian, much of the same over on your card. You did have Christopher Bell the top 10 at a really nice number. You had Eric Jones the top 10 at a really nice number. You went back to the well on Eric Jones top 10. I should have done the same, but
should have went heavier, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's kind of the name of the
hindsight
game.
is always 20/20, and then Cindric over Dylan, which is
profited hilarious. A full half a unit on that one after going 5 units on both.
Yeah, that was quite the.
I mean, the one thing I do want to say, like, this isn't, you can't take a victory lap when you have a losing week, but the fact that your Martin Truex Jr. top 10 that should have hit. I mean, he had the first blown engine. And then, Kevin Harvick was running around 8th or 9th when his car blew up. And, we were 40, 50 laps from coming to checkered here. And those looked like they were going to hit. So, I mean, we were on the right guys. Just, the Cup Series happened and these new cars happened and they're still trying to figure things out. And, sometimes you take it on the nose like we did last week.
Yep, and that's part of what NASCAR betting is. Like these are vehicles that have 4 wheels and an engine, and any part of that could explode at any point. And you could have the right guy for 99.9% of the race, and that last lap, things get wonky. Brad Keselowski's behind you, your car catches on fire, and then all of a sudden, those winning tickets end up becoming trash can fodder. So Brian, since the All-Star break is still up 9 units, nice run on Brian. The last 2 weeks have absolutely murdered my overall as I'm down 14 units.
But again, when you look at the winning percentage, it really comes down to the big unit plays, whether or not you're hitting those. And like me,
if I had that Kevin Harvick or Chase Elliott outright, I'd be looking a lot better. But
yeah, exactly.
Onward and upward, Brian. We'll head over and look at our DraftKings lineup. Honestly, we're on a lot of good things over here. If Chase Elliott doesn't, do what Chase Elliott did, and we were on right, 33% rostered, and other than that, Logano was a smash. Even though he only finished 4th, Christopher Bell was a smash, finishing in the top 5. Suarez was a smash. The fact that he was only rostered in 46% of mine, at least in this tournament, is kind of wild.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Almirola, and then our guy Cole Custer, who you basically said, I'm doing everything I can to avoid Cole Custer, only just to play Cole Custer, and then starts 30th, finishes 14th, does plenty for us, and helps us make a few dollars.
I mean, I would say that's probably right in line with any time either we're on the same guy or against the same guy. Like, you more than likely want to have that guy in your lineup, or you want to bet that person, because when you feel so strongly about something, a lot of times it's going to bite you in the ass, which is what it actually paid dividends this time with Cole Custer, putting him in the lineup.
Yep. Couple other lineups that I had. Hamlin was solid. Byron was solid. Suarez once again, but the Burton and Gilliland didn't really do much. I was hoping for more, and then obviously having Elliott doesn't help. Kevin Harvick, similar situation, was doing great until he wasn't. Ross Chastain was whatever. So a fine week on DraftKings. Definitely not one to write home about, but definitely had the parts, just couldn't put it all together into one lineup to make it something that end up winning us a bunch of money. So back to the betting board. Let me open this up just a little bit more. We have some interesting numbers this week, Brian, and some interesting options. Denny Hamlin is your favorite, opened at 6.5 to 1. That's his best number. Now you can get about a 6 to 1, 5.5. There, even Caesars is squeezing us more. Right behind him, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain. That kind of ends the group of inside 10 to 1. Initial thoughts on kind of this chunk of drivers and anybody garnering your interest this week?
Well, first of all, I don't know how anybody could bet Kyle Larson at this point of the season. I mean, I know it's not his fault that his car blows up again, but this is now multiple weeks over the last few races that he's had car issues, although he did find himself, competing there at the end. But I mean, this guy is not the same as last season. I know he's been great here, but I have no interest in him this week. The two guys
I'm going to push back though a little bit. And we'll get into this, and this might give me the fuel that I need to get over the edge. Thanks to our friends over at iFantasy Race, with track comps. So obviously we have Kansas because we're at Kansas, but we also have some Vegas and some Michigan mixed in terms of the way the track's laid out. And last time we were at Kansas, Kyle Larson finished second after starting third. At Vegas, started second, finished second, and at Michigan started 8th, finished 7th. So in terms of track comps, in terms of places where he's done well this season, in terms of obviously a guy that could make some sense, I get why he's priced accordingly. And honestly, I'm 8 to 1, put it on the card. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, my only thing about that is that I feel like this week is going to be the competition. This is a good week to get on the driver matchup of Larson versus Elliott, because when you look back at the spring race, 5 Toyotas finished inside the top 6, And the only outlier there was Kyle Larson. But had he not spun out, Chase Elliott was running just as good as the rest of those cars were back in the spring race, where, I mean, this dude, he had finished both stages 1 and 2 inside the top 5. He led 10 laps, and he was running well inside the top 10, close to that top 5 mark before spinning on lap 197. So I really think that this is a good week to get on their driver matchup. And it's the reason why, for me, of the Chevy drivers, I like Chase Elliott's number at 9-1, especially coming off of a DNF where he's dropped all the way from first in the playoff standings down to 9th. So his advancement spot is now no longer guaranteed after that race. So he's going to have to finish strong, and getting a 9-1 on a guy as good as he is, if the equipment stays on the track, like, he has every ability to win here. So I like Elliott at 9-1. And then going back to the top of the board, my favorite Toyota has got to be Kyle Busch. He was the most dominant car last week in Darlington. He led almost twice as many laps as the next guy. And of course, he had his engine blow up while running pace laps before the final restart, which is absolutely ridiculous. So as far as the favorites, I like Busch at, if you could get it, at 6.25-1 over at PointsBet.
Yep. Obviously a guy who traditionally does really well at Vegas, started 37th and finished third finished third at Kansas last time we ran here in May.
Yep. And he finished top 3 in both stages too, in both stages 1 and 2 during that race. So
yeah, I think he's going to be somebody that, in terms of matchups, in terms of a few different places, I think I will try and get some exposure to him. That 6-1 is a little hard, but I think you make a great point, and definitely could make a ton of sense. Let's go down to next wave. My guy Ross, man, I don't know. I don't think we're going to cash those tickets, Brian. I was feeling really good back in April, May. Just things have not gone well for him. Behind him, Tyler Reddick, 10-1, 12-1. Christopher Bell in a similar range. William Byron, as we get into kind of that 15-1. There's a 12 on Blaney, so we'll lump him in and kind of cut off here. Are you putting Christopher Bell on the card at that number? It feels like his post qualifying had a really good qualifying number, and not necessarily the typical number we usually bet him at.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, that 12-1 is where you would normally see him after qualifying. So I don't know if I could get there with him at this number. However, the one week where he was priced up like this was the week that he won. So I mean, you're kind of playing with fire here with Christopher Bell, knowing he's probably going to qualify well, like he's done all season, and this is going to get even shorter. So I mean, if you do want to get on him, now is probably the time, but it's a little bit too low for me. I'd prefer to go back to Blaney or Harvick at that price.
You know what we might want to do, Brian? We might want to look at the qualifying odds and bet Christopher Bell to qualify on the pole,
which he did back in the spring, by the way.
He did May in Vegas. Guess where he qualified?
On the pole.
And where did he qualify in Michigan?
Probably pretty well.
Although it looks like, bear with me. Oh, he qualified second. So I think Christopher Bell to qualify on the pole is going on my card almost regardless of what it is.
All right, let's see. Hold on. Let's see. I have those numbers pulled up right now. He's actually the co-favorite with the 3 other JGR cars at 6-1.
Sure. That's too short. I'd much rather have like a 10 or a 15 or a 20, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Let's see what happens. See if we actually get qualifying. Last time we bet qualifying odds, there was no qualifying, so that was fun. Beyond Bell, anybody else that interests you? Going back to the William Byron, your guy Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, strong last week.
No, I can't. I just cannot bet Logano to win a race. Although I do think that he's been running really strong and he looked great last week. Bubba, he interests me this week. I don't know so much at 20-1. I know earlier today, as you could see, it opened at 22-1. You could have still gotten that at PointsBet.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more. 20-1's a decent number. I mean, this dude's been running incredible, but I'd rather still go to the placement market with him. He has been so consistent of late, running inside the top 10 or near the top 10s, that I think just betting him the top 10 still is probably the play.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because he's driving Kurt Busch's car, and Kurt Busch won this race back in May.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you can get the 20, I think it's probably fine. But I don't know that I'm rushing to bet it.
Oh no.
I am adding one to the card because I am a glutton for punishment. I think Brian saw as I was adding it. It's Alex Bowman season. The dude was pretty solid last week. And then if you kind of go back through his run of performance at these tracks, last time we ran in Kansas, started 8th, finished 9th, won the Vegas race back in March, and then in Michigan, he finished 9th after starting 30th. So if he can qualify decently well, I think he has a good chance to perform well. And DraftKings has given me a 35-1, so I am going to take a piece of that.
Yeah, I don't mind that number, especially when he's a lot shorter everywhere else. The one thing I'll say is he's going to have to qualify well, because one little stat that I found extremely interesting coming into Kansas here is that starting position at this particular track is extremely important, considering that 7 of the last 11 winners all started 5th or better, and only one winner of those 11 started worse than 13th. So, you're looking at a very condensed field that actually has a shot to win here. And so you're going to have to bet guys that have been qualifying well consistently. It brings me back to, like you were already talking about with Christopher Bell, that 12-1 number may actually be a value going into qualifying with that statistic. So, Bowman's going to have to put a really good qualifying lap together. He qualified 8th back in the spring. So if he can do that again, that 35-1 number is going to look great come green flag on Sunday, which it'll probably be well inside 20-1.
What's his odds to claim the pole?
Let's see.
I can look that up. I'm going to keep.
He's way down there. Wow. 30-1, Alex Bowman.
Taking it.
Oh my gosh.
Taking it. As we go into the next range, we have Daniel Suarez at 30-35, with Ty Gibbs right behind him in a similar number, as short as 25 at Caesars. Eric Jones is going back to back with a 40 and a 50. Austin Cindric, we're hitting 50s now, 60s. Any of these names interesting to you?
Honestly, I know Eric Jones took the dub last week at like 60-1 he had opened up with. I don't see that happening again. I also don't see a driver with those opening odds winning the race again, especially knowing the past history at this track as far as like qualifying. And so I'm pretty sure the sports books have a good idea over who's going to qualify well and where they're going to start, and how qualifying position matters at this track. So yeah, none of these guys really interest me on the outright market.
Yep. No, I think it's a good week to stay at the top of the board. I think the Toyotas, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin make a lot of sense. I think your Chase Elliott conversation makes some sense. And then I like Larson and I like Alex Bowman if you're following down the betting board a little bit. Let's look at top 10 odds and see if we can't find some value there. We'll also hit some head-to-heads and other potential options. A lot of big numbers here. Probably not something we're necessarily going to be all over. Byron is the first time where I see a number that is even somewhat interesting to me at -115. Anything so far that you're clamoring to bet? I know you don't like Joey Logano, but -110 to top 10 is pretty nice.
That is a good number for Logano. The one thing about him, though, is that he's been kind of up and down at this track. He finished 17th back in the spring. He barely top 10'd in this exact race last year. He finished 17th in last year's spring race, and that was before winning the fall race back in 2020. So, what Joey Logano is going to show up here? I don't like him enough to want to bet him on the top 10 market and root for him to top 10. I mean, the Bubba Wallace number is definitely going on the card, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that as well as the Alex Bowman top 10 at even money. I think it makes a lot of sense. And will be something that I think we'll end up talking about in a little bit. So Bubba Wallace top 10 at -110, I think makes sense. Daniel Suarez, Ty Gibbs, Eric Jones, Austin Cindric, like none of these numbers are like, oh, that's super compelling to me. They're all kind of just meh.
Yeah.
Anything in as we dive deeper that's really garnering your attention?
I mean, going back, if you continue to go down the board here, what my guy Chris Buescher 6.5 to 1, the top 10. I still think that's a good value. Michael McDowell, who continues, absolutely crush it.
Yeah,
like that guy has been on fire. And then it's disgusting to say, but 2 to 1 or two and a tenth to 1 with the guy right below McDowell with Brad Keselowski to top 10 is not a bad number. I mean, he's actually shown signs of late that he can put together a late run speed here. So I think Keselowski's a decent shot. And then Almirola as well. He finished 11th at Darlington. And at this number, you're not betting a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Brad K did finish 14th after starting 30th last time we were here. So I think he does make some sense. And as you mentioned, has been running pretty significantly better as the season has ran along.
I mean, the finishing results aren't exactly there on a consistent basis, but he's looking better throughout the races.
There's actual points of the race where you feel like he's being competitive and has a chance to get a top 5 perhaps.
I'm still terrified anybody I bet is driving around
100%. We were worried about being in the middle of the pack with him taking cars out. Now we have to worry about the guys in the front, maybe him taking him out. Yeah, exactly. Let's go to our matchups and let's see if we can't find some value. Joey Logano -105 versus Ryan Blaney -115. Kyle Busch versus Denny Hamlin is kind of interesting. I know they're both Toyotas. They both have a ton of track record. I wish it was a little bit different. Like I wish it was, if I could get like even money on Busch, I think I would get there, but it's still close enough where it's probably a pass. Byron versus Harvick, Larson versus Kyle Busch, Larson versus Elliott. Is that your first head-to-head going on the card?
Yes, that's got to be.
Yeah,
I'm definitely adding that. I feel. Again, it's you're going to pick a Hendrick guy, and for me, I'm going to choose Elliott over Larson this week.
Yep.
That's Christopher Bell at plus money over Martin Truex Jr. That is definitely going on the card.
Yep, I like that a lot, especially if he qualifies where we think he can. He should have a really good chance to do well, and at plus 105, I think makes a hell of a lot of sense. Eric Jones over Daniel Suarez. Eric Jones is a guy who did really well at Michigan, ended up finishing 8th.
He's also done pretty well at Kansas too. I mean, you're coming into a streak. I mean, not lately, obviously, but prior to driving with Richard Petty, he was really good when he drove for Joe Gibbs Racing, finishing inside the top 10 in his last 5 trips there. So, I mean, he's a guy who could pop. He showed it last week. Plus money, plus 115 is a great number. Has shown speed at every track pretty much this year. So I don't mind getting on him.
I don't know what's going on with Trackhouse in general. It seems like there's something going on. I don't know if they figured something out. Now the rest of the field's figured out, or if there's some other stuff, or they're just having issues with the mechanics. But it seems like both Suarez and Chastain are having issues.
I mean, it's late in the season, so it's kind of one of those things. Like, this is a small team. Maybe, I mean, you don't want to think about like fatigue factor or something like that, just with their mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But maybe they showed it's kind of like in the NFL or Major League Baseball where a pitcher bursts onto a scene and nobody can hit them or nobody can adjust to this offensive style. But after, half of the season is over, everyone has game tape on them and they're able to adjust to the new card or the new track or whatever. And maybe Trackhouse is just slow to do that this year.
Yep. I am a glutton for punishment, so I am taking Bowman over Ty Gibbs and Bowman over Daniel Suarez.
Oh my Lord.
So thoughts and prayers, avoid Alex Bowman at all costs. Bubba at -105 versus William Byron is nice too.
I just have such a hard time when they put those two guys together because they're probably close to my two favorite drivers in the Cup Series, so it's hard for me to pick one.
Yeah. Ross and Reddick, Bell and Reddick, Cindric, kind of all the names. So, let's see. Anything else we should look at? We can look at top 5 just to see if anything else pops up, and then we'll hit our best bet. We'll get out of here, and then we will record our football betting show. We have NFL this week as well as week 2 of the college football season. Very excited. We had a 500 week. I think we went 3-3 as a show. So we will be back. We're recording that right after this. So if you enjoy NFL betting or college football betting, Brian and I will have 6 plays for you to consider. So if you want to check that out, it's on our feed. Come on over. Once again, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you have not done so yet. And let us know down in the comments your favorite bet as we head into qualifying. Obviously, top 5, it's really just DraftKings and Bet Rivers, but let's see if we can't find Kyle Larson top 5 at +100 when everyone else is minus money. Give me.
I don't even that's super short. I'm not.
I have him on the outright card, and I want to give myself some peace of mind in case he gets 3rd or 2nd or 4th. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get to any of these. 425 for Alex Bowman is fun, but I have a top 10. I have an outright. I'm good. Okay, let's get to the bet tracker. Let's review where we're at. Let's give the people a best bet, and let's get out of here, Brian Twining. I will scroll over. On my outright cards, I have Kyle Larson at 8-1 for a unit. I have Alex Bowman at 35-1. I'm going to make this a half a unit just because I want him to win and be mad at myself for not making it 3/4 like I had it. Christopher Bell to get the pole at 6-1. Alex Bowman to get the pole at 30-1. Alex Bowman to top 10 at even money. Bubba Wallace to top 10 at -110. Bell over Truex, Jones over Suarez, Bowman over Suarez, Bowman over Gibbs, and Kyle Larson to top 5 at even money. Brian Twining, give the people your card and let them know your best bet.
So I only got 2 outrights as we speak right here. It's going to be Chase Elliott at 9-1 and our boy Christopher Bell at 12-1. I mean, the sports books might be telling us something here. Bubba Wallace top 10 -110. I really like him this week. William Byron to top 10. I'm going to go back to the well with him. He did it last week, so maybe he's going to start another streak of top 10s like we saw at the beginning of it was either last year or the year before that. Elliott over Larson in the battle of Hendrick drivers. Maybe Elliott gets the revenge on Kyle Larson from Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago. And then Christopher Bell over Martin Truex Jr. at +105. That makes too much sense. And then I'm going also with Christopher Bell to be the top finishing Toyota at 5-1 for a full unit.
Yeah, I like that because he could get like 2nd or 3rd and you still get that 5-1. So that's
exactly.
Nice. What is your best bet for the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas?
Well, I'm gonna stick with a driver matchup this week, and man, I'm gonna go with Christopher Bell over Martin Truex Jr. There's clearly more riding for Christopher Bell than there is for Truex, with Bell being in the playoffs. So I think if there was a scenario late in the race, I don't know how open Truex would be to this, but you might see like an F1 style let Bell jump in front of him for a playoff point as opposed to Truex getting, 4th or whatever. So I like Bell to finish ahead of Truex, and I'm going to make this a full 5-unit play. We're getting strong here. It's coming to the end of the season. It's no time for weak bets.
I like it. As you can probably guess, I already had it
It's got to be Alex
highlighted.
Bowman.
It's Alex Bowman week, which if you
Mm-hmm.
saw Ross Chastain week might absolutely terrify you. But I think he has a strong week. I think he performs really well here. And even if he doesn't win the race, I think he'll be competitive all day. Finish 7th, and I'll be able to cash this bet. So 3 units, Alex Bowman, top 10. As I mentioned, Brian and I will both be back. We'll record Saturday night. We'll be in your feed Sunday morning to get you prepped for the Hollywood Casino 400 with qualifying in the books. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time.